Good Tuesday evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Pins on Campus. I'm Mark Jeffries, along with Jonathan Bear, and we are going to talk college bowling and anything else that we want to talk about tonight, man.
Back at it. Ready for another week. We had a great first one. They let us come back for round two.
All right, here's the situation. See, this is rookie right here, especially for somebody that owns a media company. This is Bush League. All right. But we had a late practice today. I didn't get back to the studio in time to look for my many headsets that I have. So I just grabbed these.
Are those the free ones you used to get with an iPhone?
Hey, don't hold that against me, okay? They were. And hopefully I don't have feedback right now. That is the key. So this is show number 2 and no guests tonight. We're going to dive into some things and get both of our takes on some of the stuff going on in college bowling, as most teams out there, Jonathan, getting ready for one, maybe two events prior to the month of March, where everybody decides on how they're going to approach and what sectional they're going to be sent to. And quite honestly, is it really a mystery?
No, not for me at least.
I didn't think so.
You know, we're going every year.
I mean, we're going to end up in Fort Worth most of the time, unless, and I can't see it happening. And I still don't really truly understand the methodology of the top 16. From what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, and anybody out there that might want to clue me in on this, feel free to do that either now or whenever. But what everybody strives for is the top 16. Is that an incorrect statement, Jonathan?
I don't know I can't remember if it's 16 or 24, but whatever group of that size, those are the teams.
I think it's 16.
All different sectionals.
I think it's 16. I could be wrong, but then they make sure that you don't have at least or greater than 4 teams in your sectional that were from the top 16.
Yeah, and then after that, it becomes your geographical closest is what I've been told, and well, for us, that kind of explains where we're going every year. So, I mean, and most of like teams like yourself, teams like Oklahoma Christian, same thing. I mean, geographically, I mean, all the Western teams kind of know where they're going every year,
and it ends up
geographically. So
it ends up being a balance, especially for like you and myself. We have the men's teams and we have the women's team. They got to put us in the same place.
Yeah,
you know. If both teams make it. Now, the number is you got to finish in the top 80. Is that correct?
Yep.
Top 80 in the current rankings. And you might even have some situations where on the women's side, you could have some NCAA teams that end up making the top 80, even though they might be a top 5 team in the nation.
Yep. That happens. Yeah.
Because of the number of events and how the calculations are done on the weekly rankings. So that situation can happen. And look, you guys, you can go back and you can listen to show number 1 if you don't know what Jonathan and I are trying to create. But in a conference situation, we get the top 2 teams get an automatic bid into what we would consider the postseason being bracket style format.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the word conference too, it just means something different in that environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hear the word conference now, and that's just whatever local people are putting on that event, right? Any team can show up to any of our conference events, right? I know it's not the same way across the entire country for current collegiate bowling programs and tournaments, but like for our SWIBC weekend we have coming up at Plano here on Saturday and Sunday, anybody could show up to those if they wanted to, right? There's not really a defined team of conference teams there, if you will.
Yeah. And that's kind of typical across the nation until you get kind of in the north central region, northeastern region. They actually have conferences up there where all these specific teams show up and they compete against each other, but it's not really head to head. You may have some cuts where you end up getting some match play and Baker play, but that's really it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot more teams like in a smaller area up there, so it kind of makes sense why you have predefined teams to go where. But It's when you talk conference in the CBAA format, those are the teams, your rivals, if you will.
Yes, and hopefully those rivals. There are some rivals without really being rivals. Is that kind of a weird way? I mean, let's talk about NBA basketball real quick. Would you consider the Thunder and San Antonio a rival now? Yes?
Maybe now, yeah.
I mean, it's the only team the Thunder can't beat.
Apparently.
But I think, you got that I-35 thing going on there, and they've kind of created a rival just like, you have historic rivals in all sports. Well, does that exist in collegiate bowling? Maybe.
What's funny is this is actually a conversation I had earlier. I was talking with some of the folks at the ITRC about our upcoming match we have scheduled against Drury on Friday, which I'm sure
we'll get into that
later. But one of the things brought up when we were talking about the head-to-head formats and what they find exciting about it is that word rivalry. They're like, well, aren't there teams that don't like each other? Yeah. Aren't there teams that want to beat each other? Oh, yeah. Right. And
I love it.
Now you get to actually exercise that, right? And rivalries can be both a positive thing as well as you want to, kick them into the ground thing, right? Our programs kind of have the more friendly rivalry going on. But it just, you think about all the other sports out there that have those historic rivalries like Bedlam, the Oklahoma State OU rivalry. Obviously one of the most notable is the Red River rivalry between Texas and Oklahoma, right? They pack a bunch of people into the Cotton Bowl every year to play. It's a marketable thing, but think about how much passion all the fans have on both sides about those events each year. And just to think that could be associated with bowling somehow is exciting to me, at least.
All right. Now, DBU, big time baseball school. Is there a baseball rivalry?
Yes. So every time we play 2 games against TCU every year, one home and one in Fort Worth. And those are the games that are always the most packed out, ruckus crowd. Everybody looks forward to those games. So, I would say the TCU series, the 2-game series is the big deal.
I'm pretty sure you could take at your university, at SNU, and we could pick 2 other schools, one from the Southeast and one from the Northeast, and we look at every single sport, every single one of those sports for those colleges or universities, they probably have a rivalry. Agree or disagree?
Agreed. Yeah.
Is it that way in college bowling?
No.
It is not.
Can't be currently. I would say the only reason it's come up in our conversation before is because of match play, right? That's happened within an existing tournament. But that would be the only other conversation that's included the world rivalry in it, because you see such a wide variety of teams. You don't see the same teams all the time, especially in these larger tournaments. Like when we went to Vegas, you have 61 teams there. We kind of got an interesting skip pattern. We ended up kind of being around the same 6 teams all week, which was kind of
how does that happen?
But
how can that happen?
We ended up following the same team for both tournaments, which is interesting, I thought, because they're 2 different tournaments. But anyway, you see such a wide variety of teams that you don't really get to develop that relationship there.
Yeah. Good point. So as things progress on this, will rivalries be developed? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Even for the non-conference stuff, because I am going to reach out to Billy Murphy at Newman, and whether Billy and Newman is even interested in being a part of this, which I can't foresee it just simply because of the time that is spent on the NCAA side with the women and the time that's dedicated to that. But why not have a alternating year home and home with Newman for us? I mean, does that not make sense?
It does. And you could have a cool traveling trophy to go along with it.
What, like a bundle of wheat or something? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I think ours is pretty cool.
It is cool.
The Longhorn skull, if you will. Yeah.
Definitely. And then we have the Crosstown Cup. And which reminds me, Coach wanted me to send a logo of him. And if he happens to be listening, I totally forgot about that. So I will get that done tomorrow. But The interesting out of conference, once the conferences get formed, even the out of conferences, you can have a big time building rivalry between the universities when it comes to college bowling.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be yours?
It becomes marketable to the university, right?
Yeah.
And
who would be yours? Who do you think?
What?
Who would be yours? I mean, obviously we're gonna have one, but I mean that out of conference.
I mean, I would think off the top of my mind, just because of our relationship and some of the recruits we have from the same area, I think UTSA would be one that would be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of I-35 feel to it. We have a lot of kids from the San Antonio area on our team. And so, yeah, I can see that being a pretty good one.
I put a map together and it shows 150, and there's more than that. You know, some people got a little upset because I left their school out or whatever. I only took and did the model on 150. Now there's probably, I don't know, what do you think? 200 maybe? Between 190 and 200. Anyway, the challenge of really trying to geographically make it economically feasible is much better, especially when you have a lot of these schools that, you know, it might be a 3 or 4 hour drive in some cases, but it is a totally different scenario in the Northeast and the North Central area and the upper Midwest. Do you know how many colleges are in Iowa, for crying out loud, Jonathan?
A lot.
A ton. Now, I did get a response back from I don't really know what her title is. I'm just going to call her a rules determining person. How about that? Interpretation.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Board member of the rules committee, whatever it is. I don't remember her title. Now, the challenge with NAIA teams, and I did get clarification on this, is you as a collegiate athlete, as a collegiate bowler, you can only bowl in 14 events. That's it.
And that includes exhibition events, right?
Yes.
That's the key.
14 events. Now, could I bowl in 7 JV events and 10 varsity events? No. I got clarification on that. Whether you're JV or varsity or freshman or developmental or whatever, it's 14 events. All right. So then I just took one university. I went in. I'm not going to mention who it is. And I went in and I looked at their schedule. And I wanted to see how many events that they were doing, not scrimmages, just what they had posted on their schedule. And it was 10 events. 10. Okay. Now, most of these schools, and correct me if I'm wrong, most of these schools, they co-participate in the NAIA and the USBC.
Correct. I would say a vast majority of them. Yeah.
Okay. Or could it be a club team that does the club championship and also belong to the NAIA?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's possible as well.
Okay, because I thought in order to qualify for the club championship that those student athletes were not able to get any scholarship money whatsoever, unless it's academic.
I believe that is still the case. I mean, I've never competed on that side, or I haven't had a coaching colleague that has been on that side.
No, so I get it
for sure, but
I get it. But potentially they could do both if they're in that scenario, if that is the case with the scenario of no scholarship athletes in a club program. So you have options out there. Now, to be qualified or become a qualifier for the USBC sectionals, is there a minimum number of events that you have to be in?
I think it's 8 total and 4. No, I don't think there's a minimum at all.
Exactly.
I think it's got to be in the top 80.
You just got to be in the top 80.
Yeah, I just think of the minimum events that they count.
I know.
For the points,
so
right?
I wanted to see what the balance was based upon what they published, the balance between USBC events and their NAIA events. And these NAIA events, from what I found, is they have a bunch of NAIA schools of which they're in a conference and they have their own little format. And then sometimes they will have cuts or sometimes they'll have match play, but it's just Baker match play and that's it. Right? Agree?
Yeah.
So there is plenty of room to schedule out of conference matches with these NAIA schools if you want to. There's also the opportunity and we talked to Tyler about this, that if the NAIA schools choose to, you could actually have players, instead of utilizing them in JV tournaments, that those JV tournaments could actually be a conference match set up with a number of programs that want to give their kids rep if they want to.
Yeah.
As long as they don't exceed 14. Now, do you think this is going to be a kickback? And maybe that's not the right term. Pushback, not kickback. We're not talking money here. We're not taking kickbacks, okay? Is there going to be pushback from a coach that says, that's too much work. I don't want to keep track of every single player, Do I got a stroke count here? I got to X him off here. I got to count. Okay, John Smith over here has got 8. He's got 4 remaining or whatever.
Right.
Is it really that cumbersome?
Listen, if being a collegiate bowling coach is your job, then no. I can see, though, on some cases where, because a lot of these smaller NAI schools, their coaches are part-time guys, maybe volunteers in some cases too, right? Yeah. That, maybe it is a little bit more work. But a good old Excel spreadsheet solves all these problems, Mark.
Google Sheets.
Yeah, for that, yeah.
That way you can share it with everybody, man.
But, yeah, I mean, exactly. But what I've been thinking of the whole time you've been talking about the minimum number of events, and I don't know if you've thought about this yet, but why are we limiting the number of events or the number of times athletes have a chance to compete?
Here's why.
Is there a reason? Okay.
Yes, there is. Okay. And like I was looking at other sports. And if people haven't figured out, we're doing our homework on this. This is not something that we're just randomly throwing out there going, oh, this will make it better. No, there's so much more involved. Anyway, the reason that it's like that, at least at the non-NCAA level, and I'm not talking about women, I'm talking about the entire NCAA Division I, is the commitment that universities have toward really gearing toward the success of students being athletes. So they feel that there should be a minimum number out there to not impede their progress as students. Makes sense? Mm-hmm. So like you could go down and you could look at, I know because I just had a department meeting with our athletic director and every single coach in there. And there is some proposals that are being brought up to increase the number of games like in baseball. Right? They have a very large number, like 56, I think is what the number is, in the number of baseball games. But a lot of those games, they're playing double headers.
Yeah.
All right. Basketball is the same way. Now, this is not at the D1 level. This is D2 and below, and it's also NAIA. So the committee or whoever has made the decision on this said that from an NAIA bowling level, 14 is the number. Now, you and I both have heard coaches that say, well, the season's too long anyway.
Yep.
It's no longer than a basketball season.
There's just a lot of time in between.
There's a lot of time in between.
Yeah.
Now, I have had feedback from a coach that told me, this would be really good if you could schedule it around all the breaks because there's so many gaps in there.
Yeah.
Good suggestion.
Especially if you have a tier 1 heavy schedule. There's going to be some pretty good gaps built in the schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. But from the USBC collegiate standpoint, they're only taking 10 tournaments.
Right.
So when you surpass 10, because
I think 10 is the max, right? And then you start to out average yourself, but they realistically only take 8 tournaments and 4 tier 1s per the new rule.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
All right. But once again, if you're going to extend the season that long, and once again, if has there ever, here's another thing I thought about. Has there ever been research? Do you think the USBC collegiate knows what the cumulative GPA is for every program, both men's and women's, what the cumulative GPA is for collegiate bowling. You ever seen that number?
No, but all the eligibility sheets go in, so that number does exist somewhere.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So if we're doing a really good job academically, if programs are doing a really good job, and that cumulative GPA with the USBC collegiate, let's say, and I'm just going to throw a number out there, let's say it's 3.06. That's pretty good for 200 plus schools. Agree?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, my GPA, my men's team GPA, 3.4 last semester. Girls were 3.36. And if coaches have the priority, which, I mean, who knows what the priority is at the D1 level now in all other college sports. Yeah, last time I checked, last time I was watching the game, I didn't hear anybody talking about GPA. Did you?
No. You used to hear about honors awards and all kinds of stuff from.
Not anymore. It's, oh yeah, this dude just signed for $6 million.
No, it's the kicker now. It's I've re-signed to the university I currently compete for. That's the kicker.
Anyway, don't get me started on that. We'll end up doing a 5-hour show. But if it's truly the student part that this organization or any organization is concerned with, do we have historical data that shows, you know what? Maybe we can increase it to 16, or maybe we can increase it to 18. But then you're going to get pushback from coaches because, I mean, I've heard it time after time. People are saying, oh, the season's too long. Dude, if you're entrenched in this game as a collegiate coach, it's 24/7. I'm sorry, it is. It's 24/7. That's if you want to be successful. Now, everybody else has probably their measurement of success. Agree?
Mm-hmm.
But when it gets to a point that if effort doesn't equal success, then maybe things just aren't going in the progressive direction to accomplish whatever your goals are, both from an academic and an athletic standpoint. I mean, am I talking out of my head here?
No. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a coach's responsibility to uphold whatever standard they have for their team academically.
Yeah.
Right. And if you know that you have to get 8 total tournaments in, and that's the minimum, if your team's doing really well, like you're saying, okay, schedule other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Reward them for that. But if not, then I do see the point of having the limited number of events as well for those reasons you brought up. And, I'd never heard that explanation for it before. So it makes sense to me that I've heard it. But here, back to the root of the problem, though. That information doesn't just exist out there for everybody to know, right? You have to do digging on this kind of stuff. You have to ask the right questions. And that's the right people.
I'm giving our AD major props because the one situation about this university that I'm involved with, we are an extension of just like any other sport in the athletic department. And I believe that's the way it is at DBU also.
Yep, it is.
And currently, and I haven't seen the latest rankings. I don't know if they've changed, but the previous one, I mean, the number one team in the nation was Purdue. All right. You think about all the financial resources and alumni that exist from Purdue University, but they don't get a dime from the athletic department. It's a club team.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to get a great education because if you graduate and get that degree from Purdue University, you're probably being set up pretty well. And then you go on to get a graduate degree, you're going to be making some serious jack.
Yep.
Agree?
Agreed.
All right. But the scenario of them not having the financial backing of the university, they have cool jerseys. I'll give them that much. They got the railroad tracks going down the side.
Their jerseys are really cool. And we crossed with them once when we were out in Vegas, and I thought they were a really impressive team.
That's why they're number one in the nation. I mean, they've had a tremendous season so far, but well-balanced, very, very consistent, very frame-filling team.
Well, here's the key, because I'm looking at the standings right now. Purdue's still number one, but listen to the 4 teams that are behind them: Newman, Mount Mercy, Wichita State, and Wisconsin Whitewater.
That would be all blue bloods.
So, I mean, what they're doing is impressive this year so far.
And that's a club team. All right, here, I got to get them pulled up too, since you went down there. Are they updated?
Updated through December 21st, 2025.
So okay, that's the latest one. So are we still 20th? Yeah. Are we still 20th? Yeah, we're still 20th.
Yep.
Okay, so the interesting. All right, let's go down these real quick. All right, Purdue, club team, but very rich in tradition. Agree?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, Newman, blue blood. Mount Mercy, blue blood. Wichita State, winningest program in the nation, blue blood. Wisconsin Whitewater, blue blood. St. Ambrose, blue blood. Weber, blue blood. Lawrence Tech, blue blood. St. Xavier, blue blood. St. Francis, blue blood. SCAD, blue blood. Marion, blue blood. Muskegon, not a blue blood, but very, very close and very rich in tradition. Agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good
McKendree,
program.
blue blood. Calumet, blue blood. Trine, I'd put them in the same category as Muskegon.
Yeah, I can see
very,
that.
Very rich in tradition. Spring Arbor, up and coming. All right, they've been around for a while, but have done some really, really good things. I would not consider them a blue blood.
No, we bowled on the same pair as them twice in Vegas as well, and that was another team that was impressive to me, but a good sound bunch.
Yeah. All right, Marion, Wisconsin, blue blood. Southern Nazarene, not a blue blood. In fact, you're number 3 of the program. Okay. Yeah. Tennessee Wesleyan, blue blood. Oklahoma Christian, I would put them in the blue blood category just due to the recent success that Coach Hayes has had.
Okay.
All right. Northwestern Ohio. This is an interesting one because they've been around and kind of tiptoed around that line of, well, are they a blue blood? No, not really, but they're up and I mean they're a solid program.
Yep.
Right. Tyler's doing a good job. Emmanuel University. I got nothing.
I mean, that's a really good East Coast program.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Baker University in Kansas has been around forever. Definitely not a blue blood. Okay, so how many non-blue blood schools out of 25? What did I count? 5? 5
or 6, yeah.
All right, which solidifies my statistical data from the last 20 years.
Yeah. Did you share that last week? That data?
I don't know if I did, but I mean, I got it on my brain. I don't know.
I was gathering what you were saying. We were talking about this a long time ago, but when you pulled up that data and talked about the historical, who's making nationals, who's winning what,
yeah,
and I saw the spreadsheet you put together, that was the most eye-opening thing to me.
Yeah, it's 20 years.
I mean, obviously, we all aspire to be those teams that
no doubt
win every year, competitive, and start to select our rosters more than recruit our roster because we're that good, right? We all strive to get to that point, but it just shows you how few of those teams there really are because of the system and the way they make it happen.
Yeah, and hey, there's something about being a blue blood. And folks, if you don't know what a blue blood is, every college sport has blue bloods across America. Like in college football, it would be Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma, Notre Dame. In basketball, Duke, North Carolina, UCLA, St. John's, Syracuse. Those are your blue bloods. Teams that are constantly in the top 25, really in the top 15 in the nation in their sport, but on the cusp of making a run for a national championship just about every single year.
Yeah. You're 1 through 4 seeds of every region on the big March Madness bracket. Yeah. Those are always your blue blood teams.
Yeah.
Shoe-ins, if you will.
It's just the case, we're not trying to take anything away from the women and not point out, but I think for those coaches that are entrenched in this game, we all know who the blue bloods are on the women's side. And most of them have their solidification being top NCAA programs. Agree or disagree?
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. And the conversation that came up over the weekend, we were talking about the decline, and I'm going to go down 2 paths on this. The decline in 2 things. One is when I was growing up, and here's where, and I see Coach Hayes is on, and he'll probably understand this too. But in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, really toward the early 90s, Saturday mornings in bowling centers across America, they were full of youth. There were youth programs taking place. Most of the time, you had like a 9 o'clock league, and then you might have an 11 o'clock league or a 12 o'clock league, but they were jam full.
Wall to wall. Yeah.
Right. Now you go walk into a bowling center on a Saturday morning, and there's very few, depending on what pocket of the country that you're in. Now, what has impacted that? And I want your take on this. My take is that high school bowling has had an impact on that, because the kids that were starting out younger when those youth leagues were going on, they're doing basketball and volleyball and hockey and everything else now at a younger age, and they don't really get exposed to what Coach Hayes and myself and some of the senior players out there that were involved in youth leagues on Saturday morning when things started. The other thing is, dude, I'm telling you right now, the cost is enormous. But my bounce back on that is the amount of money that people are spending to take their son or daughter all around the country and do AAU basketball or club volleyball or club baseball. They're spending thousands of dollars without realizing that the availability of scholarship money, if you're good or close to good, could outweigh tremendously from a financial standpoint the amount of money that they're spending traveling the country, doing every single out-of-state tournament that they could do, because they're all chasing that scholarship money. Mm-hmm. You can walk up to any there is a huge complex in DFW. When I was coaching AAU basketball, you'd walk in there. I could walk up to any parent. It didn't matter what team their son was playing on. I could walk up to a parent and go, "Why are you doing this?" You go, "Man, trying to get the kid scholarship money." I never got the, "Oh, well, he just loves the game."
Yeah.
No, man, it's all about the chase.
Well, that's what I remember.
That's the way it is.
That's what I said last week when we conclude the show with some random thoughts. I was talking about, these kids that are playing this travel ball extremely young, and they're spending all this money and time and energy, and they're getting burnt out on it.
Yeah.
And it goes in the same thing. I mean, my take on that is there's two rabbit holes to go down. One is the bowling center itself, right? You have to have a good proprietor that's willing to make it to where these youth, whether they're in middle school, high school, whatever, that they know that youth bowling is an option to them, right? And being able to get to the schools. And I mean, we're lucky enough in the North Texas area. We have great programs and people around that really help push that around, right? Because that makes a difference. Exposure is one thing, but also the proprietor to, maybe you talk about expense, charge a little less lineage to your youth leagues and stuff like that. But then the other side of it is, and at least this is a regional thing for us in Texas, maybe, there are so many tournaments available now for these youth to bowl on a week-to-week basis that I believe are such a better development tool, and they get so much more out of it than your Saturday morning youth league every week.
Good point.
These kids are going to go do that. For example, it looks a lot different than when I was bowling youth in the area, but now you can bowl a youth scratch masters one weekend, take a week off, next week go bowl a Southwest Gold Tour, take another week off, then go bowl an SATX event. All these are sport shot tournaments for the youth, which have some pretty good scholarship money built into them.
For their smart account.
The experience you're getting from that rather than just 3 games of youth league a week. And I say that because not every area has youth leagues that have junior gold leagues or sport shot leagues that's really preparing these kids for what's next, right, at the collegiate level. And so it's a lot of a regional thing too. It's a proprietor thing. There's a lot to go down that rabbit hole on, but that's at least my thoughts on it.
All right, Coach Hayes throwing some stats out. In the 70s, it peaked at 9 to 10 million league bowlers. Now, 1 to 2 million league bowlers for all ages. I mean, there's a zillion reasons for that, but Coach Hayes is right.
But I do think that expansion on all league bowlers can start with the youth, right? If you get the youth in the bowling center, you get the parents in the bowling center.
Yep.
I mean,
I think people just don't know. They don't know, and some of the organizations or whoever, I think a big part of keeping the legacy and the strength instead of decreasing, like the stat that Coach Hayes just put up there, is you have to position your product with the youth. And I'm not talking about the bowling youth. I'm talking about the youth that is unaware of the opportunity. I made a suggestion to the proprietor that is our home center, and she loved it. I said, you know what? I said, why don't, one day a month, we get with all the athletic directors and we let them know, hey, if any of your athletes want to come and see what bowling is all about, well, on August 20th or whatever the date is, all right, come to Holiday Lanes and you can bowl for $1.
Yeah.
Bowl for $1.
Yep.
And we'll take care of your shoes. We'll have people here to help you. You come, you bowl 3 games, you're out, what, $3? You get to see what it's like.
Well, here's the problem, Mark, and this is going to raise some eyebrows here. One of the biggest issues is the school districts. They're not letting this information in, or they don't want to hear it, right? We have really good high school bowling programs in North Texas, right? And it's amazing to me how these really good programs that provide really good opportunity for students to go bowl at the next level if they want. Yeah. Now, we talk about there's not a ton of scholarship money available, but we know there's scholarship money out there, right? And all these high school counselors talk about, because I'm not that far removed from this, I remember, is about getting all their students that they counsel to college, getting scholarship money and all that stuff. Well, if they really did care about that, they would probably care a little bit more about bowling being in the schools.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean, that's something I feel pretty strongly about if you can't tell. But think about when bowling was part of your curriculum in school, right? Because that used to be a thing that happened, right? And it was required. Not saying maybe it was bowling specific, but athletic credits in general. But and I see Coach Hayes' comment there. And I agree. But I think a lot of this starts with all the states getting on board with how do we get bowling back in primary education places and give these kids exposure to it and offer it in a way that angles it to where we know it's true, where it can provide opportunity for secondary education down the road.
All right, here, I'm going to take a different twist on this whole Bolero thing, because a lot of people blame Bolero. Hey, they're not putting back into the sport and all that, and which could be true, and people are going to have their opinions on that. But if it was a true revenue kind of bullet point for Bolero, even if they don't turn into this youth bowler that bowls tournaments and stuff like that, but if they get into the life somehow, some way, and showcase what Bolero centers can offer, well, if they go, they enjoy. As they get older, what are they going to do? They're going to go back. All right. Mm-hmm. And even if it's only for that food and entertainment thing, all right, you're still bringing people into your bowling centers that you never had before because they didn't know what it was.
Right.
So I do not understand, me being the marketing guy, I don't understand why, with the numbers that Coach Hayes threw out there, why companies are not doing better to introduce the sport to people that just don't know about it and have no idea. Yeah. I mean, that is a pool across America that if you really wanted to increase your revenue, hey, let's go get some people that have never bowled before. And you know what? Maybe they'll like it. And you know what? Maybe they'll have so much fun that they'll want to come back again and pay $8 a game or whatever it is.
Yeah. And I credit Luis Benavides with this, a local guy here. I kind of was a mentor to me as a youth, but what he did that I think is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen is he had this rock and bowl event that he did at Plano Super Bowl every year. And he would get this out to the middle schools and try to represent every school and get a bunch of kids in the center. In realism, none of these kids really had bowled before, right? Maybe one or two out of the entire center. And we're talking lanes 1 through 48 at Plano Super Bowl, right? And you have parents, you have the kids there, you have maybe some school staff there, and especially if they're involved in the PE programs, right? And that middle school program helped funnel some of the high school programs, and that's probably why the strength of high school bowling is the way it is.
Yeah.
But just think about the exposure that couple hours that you had those people in your bowling center the impression you can make on them, the potential business you can generate from that. Those are the kind of things that should be getting done nationwide.
Yeah.
But I don't have the answers to why that doesn't happen. I don't run a bowling center. I'm not a provider, but if I did, I think I'd definitely put some stakes in that fire.
Yeah. By the way, I've said this a zillion times. The fishing business and the bowling business have so many parallels. It's insane. I forget about the actual asset that bowling has. The asset that fishing has. You got $100,000 boat. I know it's not a $3.5 million 24-lane center, but some of the characteristics and how they attract people to increase the numbers, increase the number of licenses and stuff like that. Where did we get lost on that? In other words, where did it get to a point that exposing the sport to new people just didn't matter? Am I missing it? I mean, maybe they're doing that up in the Northeast. I don't know, because I can remember going to Thunder Bowl in Detroit for an event that I was going to up there, and I got there a day early, and I went into the bowling center. Now, granted, they had some GM workers bowling the league, but there were 40 lanes full at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. Was this when we were there for the Great Lakes event last year? Was this?
No, it was a year before.
Okay, because we walked in, there were people bowling, and there was a league coming in.
Yeah,
we were wandering around this place at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're like, what's going on around here?
I know. Now and I don't know if you're old enough, but do you remember in the DFW area Bronco Bowl?
I was not old enough to participate in any activities at Bronco Bowl, but I hear the legacy that lives on. Yes.
Do you know, did they tear it down? Is it like condos now or something?
It's not currently there. No.
So they bulldozed it down.
There were a lot of places like that in this area. Obviously, you had Don Carter East, Don Carter West, but you had Bronco Bowl, you had Grove Country, Jupiter Bowl, Blazer Bowl. I mean, you had hubs that were the spot to be.
Well, right? The thing you mentioned music. Dude, I saw the Clash at Bronco Bowl because they had a concert venue there.
Yeah. Then they had a pool hall. It was a banquet. There was a banquet hall. There was a game center. Pinball hall too, I think, out there at one point.
I know, which brings me back to my younger days. So many of the bowling centers, the bars that they had along with the restaurants, dude, they would have bands there at night, and it would actually bring in people and stuff. Mm-hmm. When's the last time? And I don't want to go back to Thunder Bowl because now, in case you didn't know, the arena is now like a discotheque. Yeah, we found that out, didn't we? Yeah, they have like the sparkly balls that you shine the light on it, and I was just, man, such a historic play. Anyway, but there was a lot of other social events taking place at bowling centers that I just don't see it happening. And what? Somebody's going to give me the response back, well, we just don't go out and do that. We sit here and we play on our phones all day. Well, you build it and they will come. Yeah. I mean, I think there's been a little bit of this post-COVID resurgence of people wanting that, though. Yeah. And you've seen it across many industries. Yeah. And, I mean, it looks, like I said, regionally in every part of the country, it's going to look different. Because I agree. The bowling centers, what bowling centers you have access to, and stuff like that. But all right, we're gonna move on because wow, we've been on 45 minutes. So you're just letting me go and go and go, and I got a couple of things I want to get to. All right, I'm gonna do something tonight on the show, whether 2 people or 200 listen to it. Hopefully, they will appreciate it. I'm gonna give recruits a little tip. It's just a little tip, and if you're a coach out there that don't agree with this, man, I want you to call me. And tell me why you don't agree with this. Look, recruits, I don't care if you are being looked at by 30 different blue blood schools and 2 that are so far away from a blue blood school, it doesn't matter. If you as a recruit have made contact with a coach before you go public on the decision that you have made, you should reach out and show those coaches that have spent an enormous amount of time and effort to recruit you to their university or college. At least show them the respect. And I'm not talking about sending a text or an email. Pick up the phone, go old school, call that coach and say, hey, coach, I really appreciate everything that you offered me, but I think from an academic standpoint and the feel or whatever the reason is, I made my decision to attend a different college, but I greatly appreciate that. You know how much from a respect standpoint that will go with those coaches? I don't understand this. Look, you can give the excuse of technology and people they don't talk to anybody anymore. I'm telling you guys right now, guys and girls, show those coaches enough respect that they took their time, effort, and money to try and get you in their program. Hey, if it's not a good fit, they're going to understand. If there's a reason why you can't or don't want to attend that university, that's fine, because it's the next 4 most important years of your life. But if you make contact with a coach, pick up the phone, call him or her, and tell them thanks, but no thanks. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. I mean, communication, I cover it with my team a lot, and they get tired of it. And I tell them it's the glue that holds everything together at the end of the day. If you can communicate effectively and respectfully with whoever it might be, that's going to be some of the most important things you do. Think about when they're in a career one day, right? And you're going to have to communicate with your coworkers and your bosses. Like,
yeah,
you're going to have to pick up the phone and make a call. So if you're not comfortable with it, you better start figuring it out right away. But I mean, even more specifically, if you're an athlete that has visited a campus, right? There's a very good chance if you've done an on-campus visit, that coach has started planning something around next year's roster around you being penciled in on that roster. And so the quicker you let them know what your decision is, the better off it is for everybody. But for me, what I tell them all the time is, even if we might be the only team actively recruiting you or whatever, and it's still not going to work out, if you still let me know that ahead of time, all of us coaches chat quite a bit, right? If we find a better fit for you academically, feel-wise, athletically, whatever it looks like, we're going to pick up the phone and call other coaches and try to find the best opportunity for you.
Yeah,
because
you and I have done it.
It's our job to find the right home for everybody to bowl collegiately, because I believe everybody that wants to bowl collegiately, there's a home for you, no matter what it looks like, and it's our job to find it. But if you communicate effectively, we can definitely help you find it. So I agree with that point. I wanted to add that little piece on there as well.
All right, good addition. The other thing is too, man, it is so much more than just bowling. All right, you cannot make your decision just solely based upon what the bowling program is, and I'm saying that from an NCAA standpoint too on the women.
There's nothing that infuriates me more, and it's situational, but students that change their major just to be able to bowl on a specific team.
What?
If you're it says that this has happened.
What?
If you're passionate about a particular degree that you want to go to in career field and do, right? That should be number one deciding factor, because we've talked about it. I think I mentioned it last week. Bowling's not a career choice, right? Yeah. You got to have something there that you're going to be proud of, be able to make a good living and enjoy doing, right? If you don't enjoy doing what you're doing, why do it, right? And it's unfortunately happened because I've been in a conversation before with a recruit that they chose another program and they didn't have the academic program that we were recruiting them for at EDU, and they changed their major to make it work. I haven't followed up with them to see if that has worked for them or not, but I mean, typically your first or second degree choice is going to be from your heart what you want to do and what you're passionate about, right?
Yeah.
Not usually your third, fourth, or fifth. Usually 1 or 2 is going to be the one that you stick with, right? Because you could always change it a little bit on your way into school once you figure out maybe that's not for me, but not when you're going in as a freshman year one, just trying to make it work to be able to bowl on a certain team.
All right. Good stuff there.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I want to see. I want to see a coach that is going to disagree with me on that one. But and I know what some people are saying. Oh, well, it must have happened to you. Listen, it happens to everybody.
Mm-hmm. A lot.
This is not a unique thing.
A lot of times we don't even get an email or a text. It's a social media post that they're signed somewhere else all of a sudden.
Yeah, not cool.
Figure it out from there.
It's not cool. It's just not cool. You know, it's more of a courtesy and respect thing than it is anything else. Because, like you said, most of the time we want the student athlete to be happy,
and we want them to succeed in whatever situation they're in, right?
Yeah.
And respect goes a long way, especially if you end up on that transfer portal one day. You'll remember those things.
Oh my goodness, the old transfer portal. Yes, yes. Now they have a do not contact on the transfer portal, which is new this year.
And I thought that was interesting. I didn't really know what it was at first, but then with the recent opening of the NCAA football portal, I've seen, in Sports Center posts, like especially a notable athlete transferring, and it has the do not contact thing on there. I guess that's because they've already been contacted or talked to other schools by that point or something like that. Which I don't know how that all works, but I just avoid it if it says do not contact, because then it's even easier for us, right?
Moving on. All right. Events coming up here in January. As we mentioned early in the show, everybody's kind of gearing up, working their way toward sectionals. There's a tier 1 coming up, I think, in Chicago. Is that right?
Yeah. When I bowled it, it was always the Kegel Classic, Kegel Invitational, something like that. I think it's changed names. I know Nick Hoagland runs it now.
Yes.
But it's still at Stardust and Addison. Yeah, big 60 teams or so, I believe, on that one. Maybe 64 tier 1. So big tier 1.
All right.
My favorite football when I was bowling. Always a good tournament.
Yeah. And then obviously our stuff coming up here in Plano, Texas, this coming weekend. And then what else is going on? Paul Wolf has his Engel Invitational in Kansas City. That's coming up. And then the big tier 2 that probably should be a tier 1 in February. Is that not right?
Trying to think.
Did you bowl in that?
About February is we have our conference championship tournament up at y'all's place. And then Hoosier in Indianapolis is always the last tournament of the year.
That's a tier 2, though, isn't it?
No, it's a tier 1. Yeah.
It is? That's the last tier 1?
Well, it's the last tournament on the schedule every year. Yeah.
And it's a tier 1.
Yeah. 80 teams, I think, is what they max out at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So number of events that take place to see who ends up in that top 80. All right. Another thing I want to discuss, and I teased this last week, and I don't know how much flack I'm going to get on this, but
I forgot my prop. I was going to bring a specific bowling ball to put right here for the discussion. But
all right. So let's get this started by saying, and you can either agree or disagree, and we'll move forward from that. Part of the challenge with this whole thing about urethane is the vast majority of people believe, and it could be true, and it probably is true, and I think it's been proven true, is that certain urethane bowling balls get softer over time. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. You can definitely make it get softer faster using certain methods.
Well, I'm not talking about MEK and going the Don McEwen route. That's not what I'm talking about. But, all right.
I haven't looked at the data to really be able to tell you definitively or not, but sure, we'll go with the fact that.
We'll go with that. Okay. So, and for people that may not realize or know, in sectionals, we are no longer allowed to use urethane.
Urethane of any kind. None. Zero.
But you can use urethane the entire season. You just can't use it during sectionals.
Correct.
Or postseason.
And it's not the PBA rule on urethane or anything like that. It's all urethanes during the regular season, no urethane at all in the postseason.
Yeah, your feed was going a little sketchy there. Your internet was messing up. All right, you're back now. So, obviously, as we saw in Vegas, as we see in every tournament, there's still guys, thousands of guys and girls still using urethane. Obviously, over exaggeration.
I would say it's the default at this point. Hold on, I got a picture. Hold on. This was day one, our starting pair in Vegas.
Hang on.
What does that rack look like to you?
Let me blow it up here.
Yeah, it's
hang on. Let me switch it over here. There we go.
There it is right there. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at all that purple stuff. And
that is a rack of purple right there.
Yeah, one black urethane and all purples. So there you go. That was our starting rack day one this year in Vegas.
Okay. So all right. So and this is all relative to having conferences. And let's say we're going to have 6 teams in this conference. Okay. What would happen if you had one of the rules? Because I'm kind of going down the tendency of, look, if you don't want people using urethane or you got something against urethane, then put a pattern out there where urethane's not in play. Agree?
Yeah, you can do that.
And you can't do that, obviously, with this technology. I mean, let's face it. If you can shut out left-handers, you can shut out people that want to use urethane. Okay.
Yeah.
And we all know that sometimes left-handers get shut out. It just happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So if everybody wants to use urethane and we have a conclusion that urethane bowling balls get softer over time, even if you do something that is irresponsible and not legal, they can get down in the lower 70s to upper 60s, to where you can put a thumbprint in them. What if during head-to-head competition, a coach could actually challenge the hardness of a bowling ball? Doesn't necessarily have to be a purple urethane, but that seems to be the topic of discussion about all the controversy and everything like that. Now, does this happen in other sports? I'm going to give you 2 examples. All right. At any time during a hockey game, the opposing coach of the goalie that he feels is cheating, right, can ask for a stick check or a pad check during the game. Did you know that, John?
No.
Okay. Now, if he gets it wrong, if the coach challenges the goalie stick that he feels it's too wide or too long or whatever the case is, and he's wrong, then he gets, I don't know what the penalty is now. It's either 2 or 4 minutes. I think it's a 4-minute unsportsmanlike conduct or something like that, where they've got a 5-on-4 advantage. Now, if it is an illegal stick or pads, they have to replace the stick or the pads, and the team that called the challenge is now on the power play, and it's 5 against 4. Okay. In baseball, everybody knows the iconic moment that took place with George Brett. What happened? I know you were probably in the cradle when this happened, but do you not recall what happened with George Brett?
This is when the bat split apart and he looked at it.
No. That was another one. All right. Okay. That was cork in the bat.
Yeah.
That's somebody. No, this is when the pine tar went below a certain line on the bat.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I'm recalling.
He went bananas.
Yeah.
Okay. In basketball, and you rarely see this, but a coach can challenge the circumference of the rim. That if he feels that the rim is either too large or too small, he can actually have the rim checked. All right. Whether it's legal or illegal. So you have all these things. So now if players knew and everybody had a certified durometer in their home center, of which a coach could call, throw the red flag out, the challenge. I want to challenge that ball right there. Okay. Coaches go up, they get the durometer, boom. Home coach checks it, boom. Other coach checks it, boom. It gets checked for a 3rd time. It punches out at 68. Now there's some type of consequence. I don't know what the consequence is. But the fact of the matter is this. If it would decrease the potential of taking that risk, it would probably eliminate everybody using bowling balls that were below 78 or 75 or whatever the number you need to have it set at. Now, don't ask me what the penalty is. I don't know. But I just think that the fear and embarrassment and calling out that would take place if you got caught using an illegal bowling ball and got caught out and it was durometered by a certified durometer, that it would be painful. Now, what are your thoughts, Jonathan?
I mean, a lot of it depends on what the consequence is. I mean, obviously, if the ball thrown out of competition or whatever, that's one thing.
That's a minimum.
But if you can do this to all these bowling balls, we're there long enough during the day. All right, check this one. Are you saying it's a one and done?
No, yeah, you get one. You get one, whatever, one red flag.
Because you know me.
Yeah.
Racing background. I live in the
I know
gray
you got
area.
a scenario. You're going to figure out a way to actually
I live
take
in the
advantage
gray
of
area,
it.
Mark. I live in the gray area. What if we send out a phony, a decoy ball? We know it's going to be too soft, right? Tests it too soft, out.
Yeah.
All right, everybody else, now go grab yours, right? Because you can't test it again. You're one and done.
Would that not be a little obvious, though?
But can you verify it if you're one and done on the testing?
Good point.
You gotta live in the gray area, Mark.
Yeah, you
gotta live in the gray area.
live there. Yeah, you probably have a gray hammer too. So,
but I mean, there's realism to verifying these things. I mean, obviously, that you have to have certified durometers and people that know how to use them properly available.
It's simple. It's not that difficult, especially the ones that have the rings on them.
Oh yeah,
press it.
True. Yes, you're right.
Don't make it too complicated.
Yeah. Sure.
Got to be certified.
If you're one and done, I think there are ways around that. But you also don't want to be in a position where you can do it all the time because we're already going at a slower pace than we should anyway a lot of times, and it would just make us be there all day.
But it would discourage, though.
The question is, what are the consequences, right? And that's
banned forever.
I mean, in my opinion, what I think would be fair to everybody is if we had the same bowling ball rules, and you might have to talk about these a little bit, piece by piece, the same bowling ball rules that the PBA Tour has. Okay, you can only use the 7 to 8 hardness urethane.
Right. Check this out.
You use plug stuff. What are we looking at? Oh.
It says, why not just check every ball before a match and then allow urethane if it's legal? That's an interesting point, because you know what would take place in the PBA, including regionals, is, do you remember the mill hole or the lay hole?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Before you ever threw a shot, you had to check in your equipment, and it had to pass before you ever threw a shot, even in practice. Okay.
Yeah. If you ever see those old balls on display that were used for whatever show at whatever title, you'll see those mill marks. Yeah.
You got the mill hole in there. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is, if you cash, guess what? You got to check in your equipment again. All right. That's what the situation. Now, I'm going to go kind of off the rails a little bit and tell you a quick story. And everybody out there should know who Randy Peterson is. All right. Randy and I bowled together at youth in Southern California. We bowled the highest, at the time, it was the highest averaging youth league in the nation. It was called Greater LA Junior All-Stars. Mark Baker bowled in it. Eric Forkel. I mean, a lot of the top players that were out on tour that were from Southern California. That was the youth league that everybody bowled in. Anne-Marie Dugan bowled in it. Anyway, we were supposed to start the next season, and Randy was going to be on our team with, I believe it was Mike Dorio. And Randy's a no-show. And all of a sudden, we were hearing things that he was in Syracuse, where his father lived, and Randy actually bowled a win a spot. I don't know if you ever heard of that, where you could actually bowl and then you could win a spot into the PBA event. Randy bowled a win a spot, got into the tournament, okay, bowled great, was actually in the cut, and guess what he forgot to do?
Checking his equipment.
Okay, got DQ'd, and obviously the internet wasn't around then. And the only time we ever heard anything about this was word of mouth. So then, you know who got in the tournament? Pete Couture. You ever heard that name?
Mm-hmm.
Pete Couture gets into the tournament because Randy didn't check in his equipment, and guess who ends up winning the tournament?
Pete
Couture. Oh, that's that. I mean, everybody wants to talk about Randy and the Stone 8 and all that and everything, but that anytime I hear Randy and Randy's name, I think about his first PBA event. And then he got back home, and we're like, dude, you can't bowl. What are you talking about? You just bowled in a PBA tournament. And he was done, and then he went out, and then he had a terrific career.
Yeah, but, I mean, I don't dislike the idea of checking things in beforehand. Right, it's definitely doable. I think more doable than maybe the challenge in the middle. I like the idea of having something you could challenge, because I mean, we're trying to make bowling like other sports. Yeah. But I think the check-in process is good. But like I was saying right before we talked about that, wouldn't it be easier if we just had the same rules that the tour does about, okay, you can't have bowling balls older than 2 years old. You can't have, urethanes that aren't 78 U's, whether that be the IQ 78 or the Crown 78 or something like that. I'd say it'd be harder for college to follow the plug rule because naturally you're going to have a lot more plug bowling balls.
Can't do that. All right, I'm gonna rebut that comment with this: college bowlers, even though some of them think they are, college bowlers are not professionals.
It's true.
All right, they're not. And I'm going to do baseball as an example of that. What's the one thing that your DBU team can do that they don't do in the major leagues or minors?
Good question.
It's the obvious. You don't know? All right. The bats, the composite bats. All right. Can you imagine if they use those bats in the big leagues? They'd probably kill somebody. Okay. So that is an example, even though so many of those college players are really, really, really good, they still have an advantage by using the composite bats.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know Coach Hayes is a big believer in this. He says the college bowling should be the next step to becoming a pro. And I agree with that. But at the same time, it's probably, and I might be a little conservative on this, there's probably only 25% of the players, the student athletes in college bowling that realistically have an opportunity to go on to a pro career. And who wants a pro career right now when it really boils down to maybe 10, 15 players out on tour can truly make a living on tour just with their bowling ball?
I think that number is more closer to 5. But yeah, I agree.
So I think that you have to define what is permissible at the college level, because I truly believe the college player is different than a professional.
I mean, there's a lot to go on about that. I mean, a lot of current tour guys bowled in college. Like you could do the diagram on that and figure that out.
One of the greatest college players of all time is Bill O'Neill.
Yeah. Oh, true. Yeah, very much.
And AJ Johnson too. He's another one.
Yeah, they won everything you could win in college bowling with this guy.
But that's what I'm saying. Out of those classes, though, how many of those kids out of those classes have went on to compete and be successful at the tour level?
But I also think that the tour and college are completely different things too, and that's partly what doesn't make it a linear transfer. I mean, when you're talking lane conditions and stuff like that, I mean,
we could go on and on and on.
Yeah, there could be its own show probably in a couple of weeks about how that works. But
here's another comment: challenge options could be a rethrow. Say someone's on pace for a 300 and he misses one.
Mulligan.
You can buy mulligans, man.
You buy mulligans by winning a challenge.
Yeah. Buy mulligans. Hey, it's a great conversation to have. And once again, that's another feature of this show. I mean, we're talking college bowling, but we're going to talk about anything else that we want to talk about. By the way, yes, I am wearing the Blues hat today. I'm trying to support the Blues. Jonathan, they are horrible this year. They are bad.
My Wild are doing all right, so I'm good. Obviously, I live in the area of the Stars, so I get to hear about them all the time.
Stars are everywhere. I'm actually Chameleon, our good friend Jeannie Franklin. I'm putting in an order if I can continue to bowl, and we'll get into that in a minute. I'm going to get a St. Louis Blues jersey.
There you go. I do like the bowling jerseys that are mocked after a professional sports jersey of some kind. I think those are pretty cool. There's some really cool football ones out there. And there's also some really, really cool baseball replicas out there, especially if you're
Burkett's got some really cool ones, obviously, with his stuff. Yeah. The Giants ones are the Giants jerseys that he had. Really cool.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's cool stuff.
I mean, how much can you do with a bowling jersey now? It's crazy. You know, anything you want, put it right on there.
College jerseys, names and numbers on the back, baby.
Hey,
you got to get there, Jonathan.
I know.
I still have yet to see. I've seen some high school teams do it.
What I really like, speaking of jersey customization, and we're talking about high school bowling today.
Yeah.
The high schools that put the class of on the sleeve,
Yes.
So super duper helpful on recruiting. Let me tell
Yes,
you.
it is.
So kudos to those guys for figuring that one out.
That is a nice touch.
Yeah.
Don't they put that on the Teen Masters jerseys? I believe.
Yeah. They used to be on the back, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Under your name on the back. Yeah, that was super helpful. I don't know if they still do that. I don't think they do. But I've seen more and more now because we're constantly watching film or videos or going out to high school matches that we can make or whatever. And we've seen a lot more of the class of on the jersey, and that is incredibly helpful to the recruiting process.
Hey man, I got on the approach yesterday for the first time in 7 weeks since I had my surgical procedure on my back. And,
how'd that work out for you?
Dude, man, I'm an old man. I was hurting this morning. And I probably overdid it because I probably bowled 8 games yesterday, which was stupid.
Yeah.
But it was the first time, and I want to know if you've ever done that. It was the first time that I can remember where get this strategy, and you tell me if this was good strategy or not. So I get to the bowling center, Holiday Lanes early. The pattern is laid down, right? It's a 44-foot, 27 mils, almost 3-1. It's like 2.99. Call it 3-1. All right. And I wanted to bowl on it and see what it was like because I didn't show them the lane sheet when they came in. I didn't tell them anything. I was like, figure it out. Well, with me bowling on it, even though I hadn't bowled in 7 weeks, I was still somewhat functional. And I could identify kind of where the track area was and where, you kind of wanted to discover the zone and get to the break point and all that and everything. So I went and I grabbed one of my players, right? Everybody else was in the locker room. I grabbed one of my players here. This is the only clue that you're going to get on where to start. I'm not telling you anything about the pattern. I'm not saying how long it is, what the volume is, nothing. So the first 3 shots, Jonathan, oh man, I tugged it bigger than a tugboat because I didn't want him to figure it out. And I'd walk back and I was like, ooh, I tugged that one a little bit. Didn't get a good read off that one. And then the 4th shot, I threw it where it needed to be and it went flush. And I was like, all right, that's all you get. Now your responsibility is when everybody comes out, you have to communicate to everybody, all right, where you think they should start at with no knowledge on the pattern except for me shooting 4 shots. And you know what? They figured it out. They figured it out. They worked together and they figured it out. So have you ever heard a coach doing that?
Funny enough, today, after practice, talking to some of the staff that walks through the ITRC, you never know what we're going to be talking about. We were talking about setup for our upcoming match, and sometimes they use curtains for different things. And I found this out today that it's been used by Team USA. It's been used by some college teams as a communication drill that a player bowls on one side of the curtain that the rest of the team can't see, and their job is to communicate to the next person that's going to bowl on the other side of the curtain how to play them and how to get the whole team lined up. You can do it that way, or also in small groups or things like that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That is good.
I've never heard that one before, but that sounds a lot like what you guys had today.
I just got greedy because I wanted to get some shots in.
Well, too, but communication's a vital part of the game that we have, right? So it's always good to practice that. I threw the ball today for about, 15, 16 shots maybe after practice.
Yeah.
We had an experimental pattern out on a couple of our lanes on the far end. So we had 3 pairs we practiced on today and did all that stuff. And then we had a pair to the side that I was just letting guys come over every now and then, throw a ball to see if they could figure out what the heck was going on over here. Yeah. Our buddy, Mr. Tom at the ITRC, who runs our lanes for us, built this double cross pattern. So it's basically like 2 crosses inverted into each other, kind of like this. And so there's a speed bump in the front and a speed bump down lane, but there's like no oil outside of 10 in the whole mid lane of this thing. So if you throw it in the wrong place, your ball will hook about 6 times. If you throw it in the middle, there's a lot of push. So you kind of have to find a way to blend it out in a way. So I just want to throw a few shots on it. So I use that as an excuse to get the stuff out of the truck, bring it in and throw it. And got a couple new pieces I just drilled up too. So I want to see how that looked. And so got to throw a few shots. First couple, I'm a little bit younger than you are, Mark, but first couple, definitely some warm-ups, warm-up shots, getting the ball off the hand. Then I got to throw a couple good ones. Felt good about it. Threw a flusher, packed it up, and went home.
Much. much younger. So I was gonna actually try and bowl today, but I was like, I am gonna throw some shots tomorrow. I'm gradually, I'm supposed to bowl in Waxahachie in a couple weeks if the body will cooperate. But
is that a regional non-champs event?
No, it's a SASMA. Yeah. So we'll see. But it was nice, man. It was fun. And then I ended up bowling one game with them because we were shorthanded because somebody had a lab. One of the players have a lab on Monday, and they had to go to class. So I bowled the first game. Yeah, I shot 240.
There you go. Hey, you can still do it.
I was like, hey, if the 63-year-old man that hasn't bowled in 7 weeks just went out and shot 240, all right, high expectations for you young kids.
Good quick story for you to wrap up this conversation that you'll find this hilarious because you were at this tournament too last year. So we always get the match games pattern a couple days before we leave, right?
Yeah.
So I give it to the guys to run the lanes, and I forget that pattern is a A and B tank pattern, right? It doesn't just run out of one.
Right.
So I think it's is it 36 mils it is about or something like that? So anyway,
mid-30s.
We lay it out, and I'm bowling with them that day because I want to get a feel for it. I'm about to coach it. I want to see what the ball reaction's like, and I think we need to even out the teams or something. So I'm throwing it. We're just warming up, and I'm like, dang, their ball's dripping when it's coming back on the ball rack. Well, instead of pulling 50% tank A, 50% tank B, it was 100% of both tanks. It laid out 72 mil. So I said, here's the deal. We're not going to rerun this yet. We're going to throw a game on this, and we're going to see how this works out.
Did it go 60 feet?
I beat everybody. I think I shot 214 or 209 or something like that. Beat the rest of the team. I felt really good about it. Definitely a fallback shape was happening.
Oh.
Big, solid ASAM. I think it was a Paragon somewhere near the middle part of the lane. But we tell stories about the 72 mils to this day. That was hilarious.
Wow. 72, that's got a great ring to it. A little follow-up. There was a bowling center in Oceanside, California. Okay, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this before. There was a gentleman, his name was Paul Hornicky, okay? And he had mastered a way to lay a pattern down with Vaseline. And it was a Vaseline strip pattern that was a total fallback pattern. And I believe this center still had the ball returns where the ball was on top.
No, above ground.
Yeah. So you had to get deep. So it was next to impossible on the right lane because of the above ground ball returns. But it was infamous, this Vaseline strip pattern. And it was quite fallbacky. Very fallbacky.
Isn't it always fun for us to get out there sometimes and thrust ourselves
it's the first time
guys are doing and see if we can still do it?
It was the first time yesterday that I bowled, the first time in probably, I don't think I ever bowled with any of the teams before. I might have, but I don't remember. Yeah. I know it was definitely the first time this year.
I'll do it occasionally it's always a fun team thing too.
Yeah.
Out there's some laughs that definitely occur when the bad shots are thrown, right? But it's just a good break from the action. I mean, we practice so much that it gets kind of redundant, so it's always nice to throw something else in there.
Yep, cool stuff. All right, folks, spread the word. We're trying, as you can see, if you listen to any of this show, either live or on the replay, we're talking college bowling and anything else that we want to talk about. But next week, we're going to have a superstar guest on the show. Really good friend of mine. Spoke with him probably 20, 30 minutes. And we were talking a lot of fishing because I don't know if people really know that Chris Prather is really into fishing. He is the only current PBA Touring Pro that has a fishing lure sponsor on the back of his jersey. And it's very fitting because it's Strike King Lures. And
that's right up your alley there.
He is the Strike King right there. So Chris Prather going to take time out next week, going to join us. And it would be cool if anybody has any questions for Chris, just throw them out in the comments, make yourself a reminder. And this is what we're going to try and do, Jonathan. We're going to try and have a guest on each week because you and I just babbling about whatever. We can do that every now and then, but the people probably want to hear from somebody else that knows a heck of a lot more than we do.
Yeah. Build some credibility around here, right?
Yes. So excited to get Chris on. Actually, the other thing about Chris, do you know who Jimmy Houston is?
Mm-hmm.
He got a chance and an opportunity to meet Jimmy Houston, and he did. And at the time, this was when the Snowman tournament was going on at Fire Lake in Shawnee.
Yeah.
And I think he was rooming with Packy. And Packy said that he has never seen Chris more giddy and excited and nervous to meet anybody. The fact that he was going to meet Jimmy Houston.
That's funny.
And he did. We had him on the show together when I was doing the bass fishing thing.
That's cool.
And it really, really good angler. And most people from Florida, they're pretty good fishermen.
It comes with the territory. Right?
It does. So the dude can strike a lot too. Obviously, with striking on the back of his jersey. But look forward to more guests on down the road as we really kind of move forward to sectionals. Right? Anything else, Jonathan? Any final words of wisdom?
On Friday, Mark, what's happening on Friday?
Oh, we didn't even mention that, dude. You got a school versus school.
We do.
You got a CBAA non-conference game going on.
Yeah, if you guys want to see this in action, this concept, right? Drury University, Coach Ted, they're coming down for the Plano event this weekend. So they're getting here a day early. We're going to bowl a head-to-head match just in the same format we discussed last week at the ITRC on Friday. I think we start bowling at 10 a.m. So if you're local and want to come watch, we'll have bleachers set up and everything like that. The whole event will be streamed on the DB Bowling YouTube channel as well. If you want to follow along there, we'll have scoring updated on the bottom of the screen and stuff like that. Our social media accounts will be pumping out score updates too and highlights and things like that. But if you guys want to see what this concept looks like executed live, this is a great opportunity. I highly recommend it in person. The ITRC is a great facility, a really good spectator facility, especially with the bleachers set up. And to take in the environment in which it is when this match is happening is a really good way to understand how it's actually happening. And so I'd recommend that if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but if not, YouTube will do us justice, I'm sure, on that side of things. So we'll probably share that on the CBA website and the social media as well, links to that specific live stream so everybody can follow along. But looking forward to that this week.
All right, cool show. Good stuff, man. Can't wait. If there were betting odds placed, I'd put you guys at 4-1.
Okay. That's fair.
4-1.
That's fair.
4-1. I mean, you're not, I consider you guys maybe the favorite. You would definitely be the favorite. So
home field advantage. Right?
HFA.
This is part of it. This is part of that head-to-head thing. It's like, okay, we practice here. We know the center really well. We know that, the topography on a couple lanes are going to be a little different. There's the chance for your advantage, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Good stuff, man. Check that out. And Jonathan will have all the info on where you can watch that on Friday. What time is it going to start? What time are you starting?
10 a.m. Central Time.
All right, cool. Can't wait. I'll be watching.
All right.
We're not leaving till 2:00 on Friday. Headed that way.
Well, you'll have some morning entertainment.
Oh, entertainment's great, man.
It'll be fun. We're looking forward to it. Drury's a great program, good friends of ours too, so it'll be a good one. Teams match up well.
All right. Once again, anybody interested in what Jonathan and I have going on, please shoot us an email. You can get all of our contact information on the CBAA.com website, and we will be back at 6:30 p.m. next Tuesday with Chris Prather. That's it. We're out of here.